Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. Wishing all of you a very happy new year. I hope that 2021 has started off on a great note for you. I have made a decent head start on my Goodreads reading goal already, which I've set at 100 books this year. The last couple of years as well, I had set similar goals, but I got nowhere near the mark. This year, though, I am even more determined to read 100 books, particularly ones that make me happy. So, 100 good books is what I am aiming to accomplish by the end of this year. In this video, I am going to talk about my most anticipated book releases of 2021, as you can make out from the title, but it's not really a definitive list because I know as time passes and we move more into the year, I'm going to discover more new releases that I'm going to be just as excited about, if not more. So here are just a few titles that I've heard about and I am pumped to read. Like, I wish I could read them today. I want to get started on these titles today. Is that possible? Is there a fairy godmother out there who's gonna grant these bookish wishes for us? If yes, let me know. Okay, so in this video I'm covering three genres which are the ones that I most frequently turn to. They're fantasy fiction, thrillers, and historical fiction. So if you're interested in books of these genres, then stick around. And today I'm gonna be like your walking talking Goodreads. So grab a piece of paper and a pen because you're going to want to jot down these titles and not miss them. The first book on my list is Spell's Trouble by PC Cast. PC Cast books are ones that I've always enjoyed reading. They are so entertaining, and the way the fantasy elements are executed, it keeps you engrossed in the story. This one is about twin sisters. Their mother is found murdered, and so they must learn how to be gatekeepers, that is, protectors of the gates between different realms. Now, there are a lot of monsters that are running amok in their town, and ultimately, it is on them to save the day. So, yes, they're the chosen ones. Chosen one trope with fantasy novels, it never gets old for me, and this is supposed to have a lot of magic in it, so what more can I ask for? It sounds a little similar to Sarah Holland's Haven Fall, which was a book that I really enjoyed reading last year, and so I can't wait for this one. Speaking of, next on my list is Phoenix Flame by Sarah Holland, which is the sequel to Havenfall. It picks up right after the events of the first book. And although Maddie has essentially saved the inn at Havenfall, her uncle, who is the innkeeper, is finally recovering from the illness. Her responsibilities are far from over. And this time, choosing what's good for everyone might actually destroy the only home she's ever known. What I actually want to find out in this book is if we're going to get to read more about Soleria. Because if that's there, I'm sold, I'm happy. Third, The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. Ever since I discovered the Bone season all the way back in 2015, I knew that it would be difficult for me to find another fantasy dystopian fiction that I would enjoy just as much or more. Samantha Shannon's writing is so just, it envelops you. It's so immersive. There's so much to the world building. You can't get enough of it. And now, years later, we finally have the fourth book in the series where Paige Mahoney finds herself caught between two sides. There may be times when she needs to side with her enemy. Then there's this also mysterious program called the Domino program that has plans for Paige. But as is usual with her, she has things on her own agenda. And trust me when I say this, she's a character who doesn't take anyone's bullshit. So there's a lot for me to look forward to in this installment. I need to refresh my memory with regards to a few plot points from the last three books. So I was thinking of doing a read along of sorts. I don't know. Let me know if either of you are interested in something like that, or you've read the books and what you think about them. So what I just told you about this book, it might not make a lot of sense to you, but I don't really want to spoil the previous books for you, so this is going to have to be it. Next, Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I have previously read another book by Alexandra Bracken and that was tons of fun. This should be a lot more because, well, it has Greek gods in it. Every few years or so, Greek gods are made to roam Earth as humans as a punishment, and they get hunted by the descendants of other bloodlines. It's a competition of sorts called Aegon. Lord Perseus, who is the main character in the book, she had forsaken the Aegon many ages ago when her family was murdered by their rival. Now, she has not thought about seeking revenge from the person for a long time, but it's time for the next hunt. And Athena and her childhood friend reach out to her and they're like, dude, let's participate. And she's like, that's an interesting idea. And so she accepts their request to participate in the Aegon. Seeking revenge from the man who murdered her entire family might actually jeopardize a lot more. The book sounds so good. I just hope that it reads just as good. I know this one's releasing sometime around now, the first or second week of Jan. Next, The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. This is set in 1920s America and it's supposed to be a coming of age story that is filled with magic. I've heard that it's like an Asian retelling of The Great Gatsby, which sounds really interesting. There's queer rep in it. The main character is called Jordan Baker. She's said to have it all, like education, money, but then being Asian and being queer, there are still certain things that she can't have. It'll be really interesting to follow her story within such a context and to discover what the author does with everything that the plot promises. The last fantasy fiction I am going to talk about is The Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the third book in the Cassidy Blake series, the first being City of Ghosts. This series follows the life of Cass as she travels from city to city along with her parents for their reality TV show, and in each of these places that she visits, she solves a mystery surrounding ghosts. This one is set in New Orleans, which is so exciting because ever since the Vampire Diaries and the originals, I've just been associating New Orleans with a place where magic happens, and I would really like to see how the place adds to the atmosphere in the story. Well, this time around, Cass, as she goes ghost hunting with her ghost best friend Jacob, they encounter a foe, that is the Servant of Death. Now, this time she's facing a challenge unlike anything she has before. That's basically what the plot says, and I know it's not a lot, but there's ghost hunting. It should be fun. The next category is thrillers. First, Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Riley Sager's books are the ultimate thrillers in my opinion. Ever since I discovered this author's works, it's been really difficult to find other titles that match up to the author's writing style or his caliber for creating a thrilling atmosphere. This one is set in 1990s and it follows our main character named Charlie, who is hitching a ride with a total stranger to go back home. The total stranger being Josh. What we know is that on campus there is someone who goes by Campus Killer, who's basically a serial killer, and Charlie is mourning her best friend's murder. Josh is said to be going back home to take care of his sick father. But as the journey progresses, Charlie gets the feeling that Josh might not actually be who he claims to be. Is he the serial killer? Well, no one knows except for the author, that is. So this premise of a novel being set during a long drive also adds to the thrill, and you can see how thrilled I am just now without having read the book. I really want to read it. Second, The Baby Is Mine by Oenkam Braithwaite. Now the plot of this book doesn't really give off a thrilling vibe, but this author's previous work, which is My Sister the Serial Killer, was amazing. It was so well written. So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen in this one. It is set during a pandemic where the main character Bambi gets thrown out. So he goes back to his uncle's place where he finds his aunt and this other woman sitting with a baby, and both of them say that the baby is theirs. But then there's a bunch of odd things happening in the book, and Bambi is forced to encounter that some people over there might actually be lying. I don't think I made sense. But well, that's what the plot says the book is about. I read it too and I was like, how is this a thrilling book? But that's the thing about the author's writing. Like, it's the subtle kind of thrill. It's written in such a way that it's going to stun you, but not in a way that you're going to be jumping. You get what I mean? Third, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. You would have heard of The Silent Patient, which is one of the most popular works of this author. It was all over the internet last year, and its ending was just mind blowing. If that is anything to go by, then maybe this one is also going to pack a punch. It has a Greek tragedy professor who is said to be a murderer, a secret society of women who call themselves the Maidens. Mariana, who is a group therapist on campus and also one of our main characters, becomes interested in the Maidens when her niece's friend is found murdered. And she is adamant that this professor is to be blamed. So it's about her journey as she's peeling all of these layers of the mystery and trying to prove his guilt. But that might actually compromise her career, her credibility, and the position she holds on campus. Dude, I feel like you could add Greek tragedy or Greek mythology themes into any book and it would be difficult to not like the book. I don't think I've ever encountered any book with such similar themes and not liked it. Let me know if this book is on your TBR. I would love to buddy read it with someone. The last thriller book on this list is Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. This surrounds the lives of a family who becomes infamous because of a true crime documentary that they worked on. Matt, the main character in the book, his older brother is serving time for having murdered his girlfriend. One day, Matt gets horrible news that his entire family has passed away because of a gas leak. But the more he learns about this, he realizes that his family's demise could actually be related to his brother's case. And so he gets on this quest to unearth what really happened to his family and to see if it's actually connected to his brother's case or not. I don't really read a lot of mysteries, thrillers, or suspense novels with true crime as a theme. So it'll be interesting to observe whether this is something that works for me or not. I hope it'll be an engaging read. The plot definitely seems very interesting and it has piqued my curiosity. The next category is historical fiction. The first book is The Secret Keeper at Jaipur by Alka Joshi. This is the second book, the follow-up to The Henna Artist, and it's set in the late 1960s. One of the characters from the previous book is a focus in this one, and he works at the Jaipur Palace. But it so happens that there's a smuggling scheme going on and he gets embroiled in it, which then threatens everything that he holds dear. I think this book follows a dual narrative because we also get to read events from Lakshmi's point of view, and Lakshmi is the protagonist of The Henna Artist. I'm just so eager to pick this up because it's set in Jaipur. I've never been there, but it sounds so dreamy. Second, Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. I really enjoy reading Nadia Hashimi's books because they're so soulful, they're so heartening. This one follows the life of Sitara Zammani, who is the daughter of a prominent family in Kabul. Her father is like the right-hand man to the president. One day, in a horrifying incident, a group of communists assassinate the president and everyone in her family. She is just the sole survivor. She eventually gets adopted by an American woman and they move to New York. Years later, that is 40 years later, she comes back to Kabul to find out what actually happened to her family. The moment I knew that there's a new Nadia Hashimi book going to be released this year, I added it to my TBR. I didn't even bother reading the synopsis because I knew it would be beautifully written. I added it to the TBR. Like, I couldn't pass it up. Next, The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwrecks. This is the third book in the Gentleman's series. I've only read the first one. I just might binge read the second and the third one together. This one follows the life of Adrian Montague, who is actually Felicity and Monty's sibling, but neither of them know that. He is the sole heir to his father's business, his father's empire, and he's struggling to keep up with his father's expectations. Adrian has been diagnosed with hysteria, and during an event, something happens that greatly embarrasses his family, and he gets sent on a trip to the Caribbean to retrieve some of his mother's valuable possessions. It's on this trip that he discovers some secrets about his family and that he has siblings he didn't know about before. There's a voyage in it. Like, give me a book where characters are going anywhere on a ship and I am sold. There's a lot more to this, as you can see from the plot. I really like that Mackenzie Lee's books are multi-layered. There's a lot of storylines being followed, a lot of plot developments we get to read about. The last book I'm going to talk about is My Contrary Mary by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton and Jody Meadows. This collaboration between these three authors is sorcery, it's magic. It's like made in heaven. Their writing just is so seamlessly beautiful, it's hilarious and entertaining. I couldn't ask for a better collaboration between authors. This is set in Renaissance France and it follows the life of Mary, Queen of Scotland. She is an Evian, that is, she has shape-shifting abilities. There's a group of people in society who call themselves Veritas and they're against people who are shapeshifters. It so happens that her soon-to-be husband Francis passes away and she must take control of the kingdom. But she has a secret to protect at all costs, because if she doesn't, then Mary risks a lot of chaos ensuing in the kingdom. I have read the first book in the Jane series and loved it. I know the same is going to be the case with this one. If you're looking for witty, well-written, brutally honest kind of narrative styles, then this one's going to be for you. So that's it for this video. I spoke about a lot of books today. I hope that this video helped you in some way discover new titles and look forward to a lot of interesting books the year. Wishing all of you nothing but the best in 2021. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye.